So, first of all, I want to say what is going on with Kamala Harris in this video we about to show. And then we're going to get into some more blaming, Democrats blaming everybody but them, or actually blaming each other, internal fighting. It's just the Democratic Party is imploding right now. But let's get into it.
Kamala Harris is back from her Hawaiian post-election exile, trying to explain to donors.
Hold on. Kamala Harris went on vacation. I ain't tripping because she went through a lot in the last few months. I mean, you got to think about it. All of a sudden, you pretty much, you're vice president, but you looked at as probably less than by everybody in the White House, and you know it. You know it, and she can feel it. To all of a sudden being the front runner to be the president, I wonder if this was just, now that I think about it, just legal money laundering. Because could it be possible that they knew they weren't going to win? So they said, hey, we're going to use this money, this money that's being donated, this $1.5 billion and more, and we're going to use it for the campaign. But yet, you know, we're going to use it for the campaign, but yet use it for, use that money to launder to other people, because that's how, money works in this government. If you don't know, that's why I told y'all about the migrant crisis. It's not, trust me, they were getting money. They had the money. It's so, like I said, you got money allocated. Say it like this: you got money allocated for certain things, right? So if you got, but so this all this money over here is being used, but you got this money over here for like migrants to come in because you're a sanctuary city and you're not using it. Okay, and it's all over the country. Billions of dollars are sitting there all over the country, can't be used. We need that money back we need to use it so it can be brought back into the government, because it's just watch, rinse, and repeat. How can we use that money? Get these migrants over here. Get them over here so we can use that money. Say, hey, this is the money we already had allocated for the migrants. We got so many hundreds of millions, billions of dollars used for the migrants. Get them over here. Let's use that money so it can be recycled back into the government. So now the government can have some kind of surplus so we can use that for something else to ship to Ukraine. Y'all got to understand how the system works. But anyway, let's get back into this video.
How she burned through $1.5 billion and still got steamrolled by Donald Trump.
Oh, but like I said, I'm not tripping on her going on vacation. She's, hey, at your job, if you work hard, you might have been stressed. Y'all don't have enough employees, don't have enough staff. So you working overtime, or they're asking you to do the job of 2 or 3 people. All of a sudden, you need some time off. So she got to go to Hawaii, man. Shoot, I'm gonna say more power to her, because the first chance I get, the next chance I get to go leave these waters, go across the waters and go to some other country, another continent to go on vacation, I will.
The light of America's promise will burn bright as long as we never give up.
This is the concern right here. And why I say, yeah, go to Hawaii. As a matter of fact, she probably should still be in Hawaii. Probably should not even be in front of this camera, because this woman looked like she is tired, she's defeated, and looked like she might have a nice bottle of wine before she made this video. Period, point blank. This is concerning. Now, I'm not a Kamala Harris advocate. Y'all know this, because I feel she's just not qualified for the job. And we're not gonna get into Donald Trump. We're talking about her. Let's stay off other people. We're talking about this person right here. Self-accountability is what we're going to. But I feel like she's not really qualified. I think she knew it, and just a lot has been put on her all at once. And this is, and however she copes, but it comes out publicly eventually. Say it comes through your pores eventually. I mean, because this is disheveled. The word disheveled comes to mind with this video here. She has never looked like this publicly on a campaign trail. In interviews, in debates, never like this. She's always smiling, she's serious, and not all, like I said, just doesn't look like, never looked like this. Yeah, she had that glow to her. Hair is never out of place. Nothing. But this, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if the Democrats are trying to sabotage her. They mad at her for what happened, but it ain't her fault because y'all put her out there.
And we keep fighting.
But no, I'm not coming to her rescue.
Drunk. And while Kamala tells her party to keep fighting, it seems all the Democrats do is fight with each other. James Carville is smacking another double dose of common sense into her woke staffers who cried racism and kept Harris away from doing an interview with Joe Rogan.
The vice president was thinking about going on Joe Rogan's show, and a lot of the younger progressive staffers pitched a hissy fit. I was running a 2028 campaign, and I had some little snot-nosed 23-year-old saying, I'm going to resign if you don't do this. Not only would I fire that mother on the spot, I would find out who hired them and fire that person on the spot. These people who had to lose the election because of the stupidity.
But Team Kamala is full of excuses on why the Harris-Rogan interview never happened. Members of her campaign leadership claim they wanted her to go on the popular podcast, but it's all Donald Trump's fault.
We wanted to do it. We tried to get a date to make it work, and ultimately we just weren't able to find a date. We did go to Houston, and she gave a great speech at an amazing event. We were hoping to be able to fit it in around that.
We're going to be able to fit it in because Joe Rogan wanted 3 hours. Hey, what this woman basically saying is she's trying to blame Donald Trump because he did the podcast on a certain day. Well, I'm sure that date was already, scheduled. And so they told him, and Joe Rogan already said all this, so I'm not even going to rehash everything he said. But bottom line is, you didn't want to do the same thing that Donald Trump did to do an interview. You wanted to change the rules, change the venue, change the time. And Joe Rogan, like, he don't have to do that. He's not going to do it. He's either going to do it. If you want to be on here, you do it like we run it. We're not going to change up what we do for you, because then think about it. Then somebody else will come in and say, hey, we got to change this up. And then, somebody else will come in and say, well, hey, we need to have it here, this, and the third. And he's like, no, I got my own studio. I'm comfortable. You're going to sit down. We're going to talk for 3 hours. If you can't do it, you can't do it. Donald Trump did it. Just like with the NABJ. Donald Trump went there first before Kamala Harris went. And then Kamala Harris wanted to do it like Zoom chat or something. They was like, nah, we're not doing that. But then Donald Trump went on there and said, hey, I'll come talk to y'all. I know y'all finna be hyenas and attack me, but I'll come on there, defend myself like a man would. And then after that, then Kamala Harris, people, I guess, finally said, hey, you need to go on there because it looks bad that he went to the national, black journalist convention or whatever, and you didn't go, supposed to being a black woman. Anyway.
And ultimately weren't able to do it. As it turns out, that was the day that Trump was taping his Joe Rogan. Which they had never confirmed to us. We kind of figured that out in the lead up to it.
We offered to do it in Austin. People should know that. Didn't work out. Mm-hmm. I think, maybe they leveraged that to get Trump in studio. I don't know.
Jesse, it's very interesting that now these young progressives are denying the fact that was reported that they were the ones who didn't want her to do Joe Rogan, which certainly made sense to me. But the fact that she appears to have followed that decision, irrespective of their trying to get out of admitting that, doesn't that tell you that she herself was progressive, that really was who she was?
Yeah, she listened to 23-year-olds. That's the lesson. You never listen to a 23-year-old. Now, I respect authority. I respect people that have had success, financial success. I respect my elders. And I respect people in a corporate setting that are the boss. Now, liberalism teaches you there is no hierarchy. We have to tear down the hierarchy. They think that any 23-year-old's opinion is just as justified as some 50-year-old or the candidate themselves. So if you're some snot-nosed brat and you're pointing at a 50-year-old with $1 million in the bank and a history of winning campaigns, and you're saying, you're going to do this and you're going to do that, that's not only the fault of the 23-year-old that doesn't know where the hell they are, but that's the fault of the 50-year-old for listening to the snot-nosed 23-year-old brat. So there's a lot of blame to go around.
Yeah, and that's the same system where they allow kids to make decisions on what gender they want to have or what they think they are And if the parents say anything, the parents can go to jail. Yeah, don't want to punish them. Kids get a lot of options. Hey, what you want for dinner? And everybody wants something different compared to when we grew up. It was, here's dinner. Here's what you're going to eat. If you don't want it, go to bed. We don't care. It'll be there tomorrow if you want to eat. But now, like I say, kids get too much authority, too much respect, and they ain't earn it. And that's why the country, or one of the reasons why the country is going in the direction that it's going. So if you got, and I've seen it in nursing like all the time. Like I've only been a nurse a little less than 7 years, but I was a patient care tech maybe 10, 15 years before that. And you see these kids come out of school. When I got my first nursing gig, it's like I had to work on the floor a whole year before I was eligible or qualified to run the floor. You see what I'm saying? But now these nurses, they come in and they get barely maybe a couple of weeks of computer training, and then they get shown some stuff, and then they thrown right out there to the wolves for the most part. You got nurses who don't even know how to run a bay, let alone run the floor. So if something go down, they don't know what to do with a machine, with a patient, and they panic. And that is not what you need in my line of work. But anyway, but then you wonder why these new young nurses coming straight out of school, ain't never worked in a hospital, they ain't never worked in a patient bedside setting, and they get into these clinics, they get into these hospitals, and they crash out, and they end up working full time in a nursing home. But they crash out because they didn't get the training, but yet you pay them more money to come in with their book learning, and they don't last. And then in 2 years they're gone, if that long, and they're going somewhere else. They're trying something different. I don't know. Like I said, the world is just, it's just going to hell in a handbasket like that.
Dana, these snot nose, is that what you call them? These brats. I mean, 2/3 of the DNC staff is laid off from her campaign. And they're complaining because they said they didn't get severance, and they wanted some additional financing. They got little notice. I've been in 5 campaigns. One was statewide. Everybody knows if your candidate doesn't win, you're transient. You're on to the next campaign. Why do they think they're special?
As all things Democrat, they overpromised, and then they couldn't pay the bills. They told them that they were going to get paid until whatever the end of the year, and that didn't work out. So of course they're mad. It's just like when Biden promised 100 times that he was going to forgive all of their student loans, and it didn't work because it's not constitutional. I think that this is hysterical. They think that one Joe Rogan interview would have saved her. Like this, the race is not that complicated. Biden was super unpopular. He stayed in too long. She is connected to Biden. The people hated the stuff that Biden had done, and President Trump is a political phenomenon, and he had a good track record. So they could maybe get themselves to understand the first 2 points I made. They will never accept that Trump outworked them and had a better message. Now, David Plouffe, he also said that they need to dominate the middle. Well, that's very interesting because the Democrats' institutional advantages are huge. Think of how many small donors they had. Think of the dark money they had through Arabella Advisors. Think of the Get Out the Vote efforts. How many times did we hear Jessica tell us that they had knocked on 2,000 doors in a day? Yep. Who cares? If your message and your policies are terrible, you're going to lose. And so I think they could be in the wilderness for quite a long time. If they think that one Joe Rogan interview was going to save them, and that's what they want to argue about amongst themselves, they've got problems.
Harold, part of the overspending has to do with the fact that they spent.
So yeah, they really do have a disconnect. I don't know why people don't see the writing on the wall when it's like right in your face. Like they say, it's as simple as policy. You had no policy for regular people who are out here working every day, paying taxes, buying stuff. And it's bad enough that the dollar loses value at anywhere from 3 to 7% every year, but then the inflation increased heavily. Man, I saw a bag of like tortilla chips, like family size or party size or what have you. And I was eating and I just happened to look at the price. and the bag was like almost $8. And I'm like, and I kind of sat back. I'm like, dang, I remember when this bag, I thought it was expensive when it was $4 for a party size. And so I thought if I had like a little extra money, oh, I'm gonna give me a $4 bag of party size chips. But now they're like $8. Man, it's crazy. So when you got real issues, and we're not talking about any kind of issues about emotion, because emotion don't pay bills. Emotionally, I feel like I should get treated like this because that's not going to pay your bills. It's not going to keep money in your pocket. That's not going to bring down the stress factor. But when you're talking about, hey, this is what you're paying, we're going to bring it down. Hey, we don't have enough jobs. We're going to try to bring jobs back to the countryside. Now, you may have to pay a little bit at first, but over the long haul, you keep this system in play, it's going to work out for the American people. You'll be like, hey, you know what? I'll ride this out as long as there's people with common sense now will say, hey, well, okay, I'll ride that out as long as in the future I know that there's, some kind of justification for it. There's a benefit for it. People will sit there and stay in poverty or stay on a certain level and don't do anything if they don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. But especially if you keep promising something, you always promise, always promise, always promise. Just keep this up. It's going to get better, but it never gets better. It gets worse. And then you see it get better for other people and you're just not benefiting from it. Eventually you're going to be like, man, I'm sick of this. If I'm going to do this, I need to make sure that I can benefit in the long run. When I worked at a warehouse for like 10 years, and I was making like 13 after 10 years, making $13, but after the first year, I was making $10. So in about 8-9 years, I got like a $3 raise in like 8-9 years. I said to myself, dang, I ain't trying to do warehouse the rest of my life. But if I have to, I need to maximize my earning potential. So I left and went to another place where they said I could make, this is like years ago, that I can make, within 2 years, make like $17. So I'm like, well, shoot, let me go on and do that. And so, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, shoot, this ain't what I want to do, but if I have to do it, then I got to make sure that I can maximize my earning potential, maximize the benefits. Because if not, I'm gonna be stuck here miserable and be 80 years old wishing that I would have done something different. But anyway.
$10 million on star-studded events. But if Kamala was a star that they said she was, why did she have to pay other stars to say nice things about her?
Let me be clear. I said this yesterday. The Democrats need to step back and understand we just lost. We got thrashed at the polls. There's no. I agree with you, Dana. One interview was not going to change that. Voters made a very simple calculation, as they do in every presidential race. Who is going to make my neighborhood safer? Who's going to make my home safer? Who's going to make my job more secure? Who's going to make the country more secure in any given order? We lost on all four fronts. It wasn't the moderate vote. I say to my friend David Plouffe, we lost Black voters, Hispanic voters, Asian voters, younger voters. Donald Trump made more inroads with those voters than he did with white voters who didn't have a college degree, which is his strength. But he made up for it with inroads into the base of the Democratic Party. I don't think it'll take longer than 4 years. Technology and things, and the fact that we have governors across the country, you can certainly fill that void. But if we don't take 6 months and travel the country, crisscross it, go to places where Democrats don't go, try to understand school choice, try to understand what it means to stimulate growth and opportunity in pockets of the country that have been overlooked, people that have been overlooked, the middle class that feel like we don't believe in them and don't support them any longer. Understand that Donald Trump has done something unbelievable in politics. He's flipped the whole script. The working class now supports him. I don't think they support Republicans. They support him and people who support him. That's what we have to figure out. And if we're sitting around 3 weeks after the election and still talking about Joe Rogan, whom I like and respect, Joe Rogan's show had very little to do with the fact that she did not distance herself from Joe Biden sooner, and that she didn't have an economic message, that she didn't deal with the border, and that we didn't deal with how we were going to make neighborhoods safer across the country. I contend that's where the focus ought to be. And I got to tell you, I love hearing James Carville talk whenever
we all do. We all do. But, Charlie, in addition to all that, I'll add to it that she didn't seem very smart. And the fact that
that's right, the bottom line.
Yeah. Okay. But in addition to that, John Morgan said, quote, the way she overspent on this campaign, $1.5 billion, literally disqualifies her from running for anything ever again.
That makes sense. Because how are you going to fix our economy? And I won't put it all on her because I'm quite sure she got people behind the scenes doing this. Because again, I mean, she was stomping. She had to do a lot of stomping in a matter of weeks. So she needed advisors to take care of certain things and the finances and what the donors gave is going to be part of it. They can be like, hey, we can get so and so here to promote you. Okay, great. How much is going to, go ahead and get it done? Whatever. We got a plethora of money. We got plenty of money. So we'll pay Al Sharpton. We'll pay Roland Martin. We'll pay, they say Beyonce, but we haven't been proven that yet. And all these stars to come out here and, we'll pay Megan Thee Stallion to put on a concert. Oh, okay, just go ahead. We got the money. And not actually, we'll pay Oprah Winfrey's company to build a studio so we can have a 20-minute interview. And it's funny because Oprah Winfrey is a person who has said that she looks at every penny that comes in and out of her accounts, even though she have accountants. She got accountants watching accountants, and she's watching those accountants. So that's funny that Oprah's company was part of the people that they paid, but yet she and her people didn't know how to budget money to lose $1.5 billion in a matter of weeks.
Imagine how she would be as president.
Yeah, no kidding. Not only is she not very smart, she didn't have a vision for what she wanted her campaign to be. I don't know what the woman believes.
But like I say, I'm not a Kamala Harris advocate, but I will say she just didn't have a whole lot of time to do it, y'all. I mean, let's just be honest. So she had to have a lot of people in her ear, and it's not like she had like 4 years to think about it, because she was under Joe Biden. So whatever Joe Biden did, she just ran with it. But then all of a sudden, boom, here you go. We got an election in 100 days. You're going to be the front runner. Let's get it done. And like I said, I wonder if they set her up because I always say that I felt that if anybody else, it's a lot, I'm sure a few people that could have ran the Democratic Party and actually probably could have won, had a better chance of winning. But I believe maybe they didn't want to take that chance of losing, of wasting a great opportunity on a better candidate and losing and messing up that candidate's chances of running for president in 4 years. If that makes sense. So let's try Kamala Harris. Got plenty of money. We can put it behind her. We can see if this will work. If it don't, that's fine. We know we really don't want her to be president, so we'll just use her to use this money so we can put it back into the gut. Like I told y'all how this works. But anyway, and so it may have worked out the way they wanted to, but if the people at the top is not talking to the people in the middle, the people at the bottom, y'all the ones that are suffering, those that ran on the campaign, who was on the trail every day trying to get things done. Y'all are the one that are suffering because the people at the top ain't telling you exactly how this is going.
But every time she tries to explain it, it sounds like she's probably lying. And she's just saying whatever she has to say to sort of win the election. The reason, and the Joe Rogan thing is interesting, but the Joe Rogan thing was a symptom of the problem, not the problem itself.
Right. Well said.
It's that she knew she couldn't go out there and explain her positions and defend her positions in a way that people would find believable or trust her. And of course, the reason that Donald Trump routed in all of those different categories among voters is because he was talking about common sense issues with common sense solutions to issues that people cared about. And it didn't matter if you were Asian or black or a woman or whatever it was. It was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And I think that's why he won in 2016. And I think it's why he won this time, that he talks about things without getting stuck into ideology. And if and by the way, I know a lot of Republicans, they love the fact that Democrats are shooting at one another and are unable to figure out what happened. As a conservative, I actually hope Democrats do figure it out because we need two sane parties in this country. It does us no good to have one completely insane lunatic party and then a less insane party.
Yeah.
I know you're glad.
Get caught up in the parties. Remember, it's policy over parties and politicians. Remember that.
we're the lunatic party right now.
I am so glad.
That's
there
clear.
are benefits to that. Up next, the Hollywood
Well,
Trump.
okay, well, that's all for this story here. Like I said, one, I feel like Kamala Harris has been putting a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. I mean, think about it. You got 100 days to figure out a way to prove to people that you can run the world. Not a company, not a family, not a business, but not a major corporation, but being over the world. You can convince the people in here and the people in other parts of the world that you should be the person that's running things and the leader of the free world. That's a lot on one person. I can just, so I could just imagine. So, shout out, hearts out to her. Again, like I said, I'm not a Kamala apologist, but hey, from person to person, that can be a lot. And then they put her out here on this video looking like, like she just woke up, or like she's just tired, or like she done drank a couple of bottles of the finest wine in California. And this was put on the Democratic Party's X channel. Something ain't right about that. But that's what happens when you got 23-year-old snot-nosed people running your campaigns, because they'll put you out there like that. These are the same age group that when you look online and they're doing videos that they're commenting on how much they're upset about how the election turned out. They sitting there laying in bed with a bonnet on and cheap eyelashes talking about they're moving out the country. I mean, come on. Let's keep it real. But anyway, tell me what you think about the story. Leave your comments below. Share it with the world. Hey, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those 4 things cost you nothing but maybe a couple of minutes out your day, but it means the world to us here. Don't forget, if you would like to support us financially, you can always get a super thanks, super chat, super stickers. And you can also go to the description box below. There are links there you can click on to help support us there. Don't forget to go to marlonmorale.com. That's marlonmorale.com, where you can get 10% off your first purchase of all our luxury items. I promise you will not be disappointed. And also right now, we're having a sale on our miniature beard kits right down in the shop button below. It contains a beard oil, beard wash, and beard balm. And it's sandalwood scented, and sandalwood is clinically proven to help stimulate hair follicle growth. So if you're trying to grow that full, lush, beautiful beard that the women love, why not use the best product on the market? But with that being said, I'll leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.